Will I be the asshole for going back on my agreement to be a surrogate for my sister?
Go for it. Sounds white trash enough. Some folks will never lose a toe, but then again, some folks will.
For most of my life, my sister Alice has been wanting kids but has been unable to carry a baby to full term, in part due to endometriosis. She was in a lot of pain and had to have a hysterectomy. Alice and her husband Ben have fostered 5 children and adopted 2 children with autism. They are great parents. They have a good home environment and are financially very well off. But recently, Ben, and after a while, Alice, was bitten by the urge to have a kid biologically related to them because they wanted a chance to do things right and provide the best start in life. Their views, not mine. So they asked me to be their traditional surrogate and said they would cover all costs, legal, medical, etc., associated with it. They'd also be paying off my student debt, renting a 2-bedroom apartment for 3 years, plus giving me a substantial amount of cash. I said, sure, it'll be 9 months of my life in exchange for being set up for quite some time, and my immediate family thinks it's a great idea. However, when I said sure, I was expecting something along the lines of IUI, intrauterine insemination.
But instead, it was Ben's gonna plow.
Where we go to the doctor and get Ben's sperm prepped, me getting shots, etc. Basically the whole artificial insemination package. But Alice and Ben have asked me to, well, get pregnant the traditional way. Their rationale is that 1, it's the cheapest way, 2, they don't want to go to the hospital now, and 3, they think babies conceived naturally are healthier / their pregnancy would be safer without the chemicals. But I just can't get over the extreme ick factor. Even if this was going to take place at home, I think a syringe would work fine. Will I be the asshole if I go back on my word? Is their request reasonable? My immediate family doesn't see anything wrong with it and has been congratulating my sister on her impending baby. On the other hand, if I do give up, am I also mad for passing up what is essentially $200K, especially in this economy now?
That would make you a rather pricey whore. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase.
An incredibly well-paid sex worker.
Yes. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you want to be paid to be a surrogate, not a sex worker. And also, and I mean that literally in the context of this story, and also, you need to check your states because in a lot of places, especially in America, it is actually illegal to be paid in any form or function to be a surrogate. But technically you would be a surrogate though, because you were still the one that got knocked up.
Yeah. That's
Fucking
your baby,
weird.
man.
Yes, that is your baby. But also from the seams of things, that was the plan either way. It was just a IVF using your eggs. From what I can...
Or IUI with your eggs.
Yeah.
But still, like, my family doesn't see any problem with it.
Sweet home Alabama.
I reckon you could get a new one of those on Marketplace pretty quick.
Yeah. Might have less teeth, but they might help you fuck up your old family. That's the kind of family you want to find on Marketplace.
I mean, shit, you need a new family. Go to your local game shop. They'll have all of their teeth, plus you'll get a whole bunch of new hobbies. And they'll help you move.
Yeah, but a drug problem's usually cheaper.
Fair.
But all joking aside, that's fucking cooked. Tell them if they want to have a baby with you being the surrogate, you need to do it the traditional surrogate way, not the traditional getting banged by your brother-in-law way. Because, why has every Ben in this story been banging somebody else? Sorry, every Ben tonight been banging somebody else.
I mean, Ben 10 hasn't, as far as I'm aware.
There's rule 34 of it, I'm sure.
But Ben's be fucking. That's why there's so many of yous.
Yeah, the year I was born, it was 33rd most common name in the world. That was census dated at the very least.
I'm sure there was a time it was number 1.
Maybe in the West, but in general, probably not.
I mean, back then, they probably weren't checking the data anywhere else.
They were definitely still checking the data in China because they already had the one-child policy by then.
Well, I'm talking like 1800s, Ben.
Oh, okay. I was talking about when we were born. But yeah, no, you run fast and far because...
Okay, I'm sorry, I still need to cut you off. You, like, a one-child policy in China, they're gunning for a boy. They're not going to fucking call it Ben.
That was my point. When the one-child policy was in place, they were knowing the name of every child that was fucking born, and I guarantee less than 0.1% was named fucking Ben. And because there was still so fucking many of them, which I can't remember what comedian I was listening to that was saying, hey, We have a 1.4 billion people in our country, and that's with the one-child policy. You know we can get down.
I feel like we were literally just watching that.
Yeah, it was the long-haired dude, I think. Either that or it was
The
one of...
long-haired dude in what?
We watched his stand-up the other night. He was a long-haired Asian guy. It was either him or...
We've only been watching Kevin Hart's
No,
Funny
it
as
was
Fuck, and
before
we
we
watched Aaron
started that.
Chen.
There was another one between those two.
Okay.
He looks like a stoner Asian
Oh,
dude.
Sheng Wang.
Yeah.
Sheng Wang.
Yeah.
Continue.
It was either him or it was one of Kevin Hart's Funny as Fuck people. One or the other. Yeah, you need to run. You need to run the fuck away from your family. Preferably the lot of them. Don't let that Ben get you alone in a room, because that there's something unhinged about your brother-in-law and your sister.
I mean, they may not even actually give a shit about having a kid, and he just pushed his wife into finding a reason to be able to fuck his sister-in-law. From what you've described here, you don't have any kids of your own, which is probably also why they're attempting to avoid any sort of official means of going about this, because you cannot be a surrogate if you do not have kids of your own. Because the idea of potentially having your first child and then having to hand it off, especially if it is literally your biological child, it's not someone else's egg or anything, like, there's too much psychological risk of harm there. That's why you're not allowed to do it without all of these like really stringent tests and shit.
It almost happens to Phoebe. I know she's not a surrogate, but it almost happens in Juno with her. There is definitely a moment at the end of Juno where she considers not letting them take her kids or her kid. You don't want this shit in your life.
No, there's definitely something fucking shady going on down here.
This shit cunt, you're a sick cunt. Though this does bring me back to for some friends of hers, my mother once asked me to be a donor for a lesbian couple that she was friends with, because my family are very pro-LGBT community, have been for forever, because I'm the token straight guy in my family. And let's be real, not that straight. But I couldn't even do that. Like, knowing that there was a kid out there that was technically my kid, couldn't do it and not want to be part of that kid's life.
Yeah. There's also the whole, you've adopted 2 autistic kids, but you want to do it right by raising them the right way from the beginning. Like, you think you're going to avoid that. No kid deserves to be your fucking experiment. As soon as you're saying, like, hey, we want a biological kid now because the ones we took on are fucking defective, like, you've automatically lost any and all respect I had for you. And I believe that you shouldn't have any of the kids you do fucking have.
To be fair, with the fostering and the adopting, it could be that this has been a long-standing thing they've been doing. It's like they could have fostered kids and adopted kids that have now aged out of their household, because we don't know what time frame that was over. And it could also be we have done the other side of things with adoption of fostering, but now we want to actually have our own kid.
I feel like that's giving way too much benefit of the doubt, given how this situation ended up.
Yes, but also for other people that are in a similar situation, just because you have fostered and adopted kids and you can't biologically have your own kids because of this reason or that reason, doesn't mean you should ever feel like you can't try and have kids through proper surrogacy, not banging your sister-in-law. Also, she wants to have her own biological kids. That's not going to be her biological kid.
Well, she's saying, like, connected biologically because they're sisters.
I suppose, but
yeah,
you're always going to know that you're actually the aunt. And I mean that too.
Especially if your husband literally fucked your sister.
The only way that could be worse is if it was her sister, his sister, that they were trying to ask.
Top comment. If you don't have biological children, you couldn't be their medical surrogate, and that's why they're pushing for this. It doesn't sound like you have any biological children. The reason why they want you to do it this way is because you wouldn't qualify as a surrogate without having carried at least one healthy pregnancy to term. It has zero to do with chemicals, costs, or any other bullshit. It's because they couldn't find a doctor who would be willing to knock you up under these circumstances. Do not do this. There are a host of legal issues if you DIY this. That baby is your baby at birth if you don't go through an agency. You're being conned. Your out is just telling everyone that you're totally willing to do this, but you're not willing to have sex with your brother-in-law or be turkey basted. Follow up. This OP, this. It's super creepy that they want you to have sex with your brother-in-law. So many issues. Please don't do this.
Don't do Ben.
Following up, another comment. If I had to guess, I would say that the sister wants children of her own and brother-in-law kind of steered the conversation towards having a natural way child with OP. I just can't see the sister coming up with a plan in which her husband has sex with her sister until it takes. That is so whack. I cringe from thinking of someone mentioning letting my brother-in-law bone me.
Probably doesn't help that your brother-in-law is like 15. So it probably makes it worse with that mentality.
Oh, my brother.
It's your
Right.
brother. Like, I only have brother-in-law-in-laws. Step brother-in-laws?
That sounds like a porn category.
Yeah, that's too many degrees of separation for the people that are looking up for step stuff. Like, one is probably more than they really want to have as separation.
I'm not one to have a comment on that. I'm good not having an opinion on that.
I'm more saying that the people who are looking up that kind of thing, they freaks.
There is
fucking
an
freak.
update.